Okay, so here's 16 is Birkot Hashachar. Okay, so these are the blessings you make in the morning. Yes, last time we talked about Birkot Torah, the blessings over the Torah. Birkot Hashachar is the blessings you make in the morning. It can be found on page 27 to page 31, and there's a few other ones around there. So there's many blessings you make in the morning, at least 15 here between blessing God. You can take a look at some of them on page, let's say on page 28 and 29. Who gives sight to the blind, who clothes the naked, who sets the captives free. So you're really supposed to recite these every day. And when the Talmud discusses them, interestingly, they discuss it as basically like as you proceed with your daily habits and behaviors, you're supposed to make a bracha at each step of the way. This is from Masechet Brachos. It says like this. Says, when you get dressed, you should say, blessed are you who clothes the naked. Right? And then when you stand up after you get dressed, you should say, who straightens the bent. And then when you light upon the floor, when he lights upon the floor, you should say, blessed are you, spreads out the earth upon the waters. When you walk, you should say, who firms man's footsteps. Basically, every step of the way, you're supposed to make one of these brachas. Now, today, we don't do it that way. Although the Rambam says that in some Yemenites follow, they try to do it in correspondence with their behavior. It's like when they put on their girdle, or like they fasten their buckle. They make Ozer Yisrael B'Gvura. They put on their hat or their kippah, Oter Yisrael B'Tifara, who crowns Israel with splendor. So, but practically though, we don't do it that way. We make the blessings every day. It's based on, it's kind of praising God overall for all these wonderful things that God does to all of us. Some of us have those blessings, some of us don't. According to the Rambam, somebody's in jail, for instance, they might not make the blessing because sets the captives free. Or somebody who can't walk, they might not make the blessing on Mechimitzad, who gives God sets their footsteps, etc. Someone who can't see. But practically, we make all the blessings based on the situation of everybody overall, God's wonders. Now, we're supposed to make these blessings first thing in the morning when you get up. So you're doing it till your dime, you wash your hands, you make your blessing over the bathroom, and then you make a Lakana Shema, another blessing, and then you make these blessings. Why do we do it first thing in the morning? So there's two reasons. One is it's a good way to start the day by praising God, recognizing God and God's wonders when you begin the day. But another reason is halachic. Basically, some of the blessings some of our later blessings we're going to make during davening in the morning incorporate some of these themes, like Matir Asurim that appears in the Shemona Esrei, that God frees the captives. So you're already kind of making that blessing. If you don't make it first thing in the morning, then you say your prayers, Shemona Esrei, the Amida, and you mention some of these things. So it might kind of cancel out your ability to say the blessings again. Practically, we do say the blessings afterwards, but it's ideal to say it first thing in the morning for those two reasons. Now, what if you forgot to say it first thing in the morning? Okay, it happens. I have them memorized. I memorized them very early when I first got to yeshiva because oftentimes I was walking to go daven or I was driving, so I would just say them as I'm going along. For me, that like solves a lot of this issue. But I had this one rabbi who's like, he was like 50. He's like, I never managed to memorize them in, like, you always had to say it from a cedar. If you can memorize them in order, that's the best. So what if you missed or first thing in the morning? So what do you think? Here are three options. You could say it up to the 4th hour of the day, the 6th hour of the day, or until it gets dark. What do you think? 4th hour of the day. Anybody think it'd be the 4th hour? What about the 6th hour? What about all day? So the answer is actually whoever raised your hand for any of them, you're all right in some respect. So preferably you should do it in the first 4 hours of the day because it corresponds with prayer, which you're supposed to say the Shemona Esrei in the first 4 hours of the day. If you didn't, you have up to the 6th hour, like some say with the Shemona Esrei as well. There's some opinions like that. And because the Gra, going to Vilna, says you could even say it in the night, which you don't go by that. So the Mishnah Berurah says if you're really stuck, you could say it until like all day. It's really, it's a blessing, not just connected to prayer, but praising God over what you enjoy throughout the day. So those are some basic laws connected to it. And I was looking in Rabbi Sachs's commentary here. It's a really nice quote. I'm thinking it like ties it all together. Basically, what the purpose of these blessings is to recognize God's goodness to us. And he says like this: the world is full. This is a quote from Rabbi Nachman Breslov on gratitude, or like seeing God in our lives. The world is full of the light of God, but to see it, we must learn to open our eyes. So that's the idea of these Birkot Hashachar.